let's talk about fake news for views and all the lying true crime YouTubers that have really kind of made a splash this weekend. Today is Sunday, December 11th at 3:30 p.m. as I film this. Well, it seems like the word true in true crime is turning into fan fiction for certain YouTube true crime creators, seemingly seeking fast fame, views, and attention at the expense of truth. Today we're going to talk about two true crime YouTubers in particular that have fallen from grace. First, we're going to cover a new video released by Adventures with Purpose today, Sunday, to those of us non-members. I'm no longer a member, and it's about the Kiely Rodni case. Even though the new video contains some former employees of Adventures with Purpose, the operation is helmed by Jarrett Lysick, a man who is facing 2 serious felonies against a child and is next due to make his first appearance in court in Utah on Monday, December 12th. Ironically, Jarrett's initial appearance was shut down by his judge, Mandy Larson, because of YouTubers. Some may have interfered unknowingly, while others, maybe it was their plan to throw Jarrett's appearance off. Secondly, we're going to talk about the big debacle that happened recently when a true crime YouTuber named Joseph Morris was caught leaking audio, something he alleged was from the University of Idaho case where 4 students lost their lives. The video also contained a faked Daily Mail article where the text had been changed, and the author of that article has confirmed he did not write the things that were said in that faked article. It's time to distinguish truth from lies from speculation. So as a disclaimer, let me say there's nothing wrong with true crime creators when we choose to speculate and go over theories and rumors with our viewers. Many people who watch us love to do that. If we are going over a specific case, like the University of Idaho 4 students, for example, where there is a limited amount of information released from police, of course we talk about the official information. But then viewers also may want to talk about, did you hear this speculation? Do you think it could be this person? What type of profile of person would do this? What about this? What about that? Of course, unsolved cases will beget lots of rumors and speculation, which is fine as long as we tell our viewers that's what we're doing. I did it in my recent video. I saw something on Facebook where some guy wrote, allegedly he claimed that he was in a photography group remotely. He claimed this photography group had a tripod set up and was catching video of the 1122 King Road house. He was very elaborate. He claimed he didn't know where the tripod was or what video was taken, but allegedly some women were seen running away from the house. Of course, people jumped on him and said, report this to police. He claimed someone in the Facebook group had already reported it to police, but then he went on to say his Facebook group had gotten shut down because of multiple terms of service violations. Well, allegedly that guy recanted his post and claimed he made it up. It's happened before. I've seen it in the Chris Watts case where another guy went on camera in a FaceTime to claim that he worked with Chris Watts' mistress, Nicole Kessinger. People sometimes have the need to create these elaborate stories to try and involve themselves in real-life crimes. That's a pretty sad thing. But it's also pretty sad when you see YouTubers doing the same thing, knowingly creating fake news just to get viewers. I'm not talking about scenarios where a true crime creator may have gotten a tip from a viewer and they didn't do their due diligence and follow it through. I'm talking about dangerous scenarios where a person knowingly faked mainstream media articles, took audio from a different domestic incident, took the audio, created edits to make it seem like it was coming from a University of Idaho victim, as if it were the desperate, dying screams of one of those young people. This crossed a major line that I wanted to talk to you about. Consider it as a cautionary tale. But first off, let's talk about this latest Adventures with Purpose video that was finally released. We have been waiting for this footage. Ever since Adventures with Purpose created a video titled Murder or Accident about the Kiely Rodni case, people have put their trust in Adventures with Purpose, specifically Jarrett Lysick, the leader, as a truthful organization. The video from September 2nd, 2022, titled How We Found Kiely Rodni, Murder or Accident. According to Social Blade, it has gained 3.5 million views, more than 22,000 comments, and has earned up to $14,100 at least as an estimate. Kiely Rodni was a 16-year-old girl who went missing out of Truckee, California after a party under mysterious circumstances. She was found by Adventures with Purpose weeks later. People were glued to their channel. Folks like me really supported them, donated to them, led all my viewers to them. I bragged about them for years. After that Kiely Rodni video came out, Jarrett Lysick, the leader, would leave little breadcrumbs and hints about having more footage to that video, specifically an interview with Nick, the tow truck driver, who claimed he ran into Kiely and a male at some point during the weekend after she went missing. Well, today, December 11th, 2022, there's a video that has been released titled Full Interview. Did Nick, tow truck driver, see Kiely Rodni? Thus far, within hours, it gained 36,000 views and is already on its way to earning lots of money. I couldn't help myself. I'm no longer an Adventures with Purpose supporter, but I wanted to see what was said in this video. Now, I'm not blaming any of the people in the video. I'm not blaming Doug Bishop. I'm not calling him a liar, nor Nick Wren, nor the tow truck driver, Nick. It's not necessarily the people who appear in the video. It's almost like it's the Svengali behind the scenes driving the Adventures with Purpose bus. Jarrett Lysick had been teasing for weeks and weeks. Only if things went a certain way would he release the rest of this footage. I interpreted that to mean only if someone were arrested, chiefly Kiely Rodni's ex-boyfriend, and if her disappearance turned into foul play, then I believed they would release the rest of this footage. Well, everything that I've seen officially, and I've done Freedom of Information requests about Kiely Rodni's case, everything I've seen has named it an accident. However, this video opens with the text, December 10th, 2022, open investigation. That's kind of news to me. I did not know, if this is even correct, that Kiely Rodni's case was still open. Everything I've seen points to the fact that Kiely was a 16-year-old girl who accidentally left the party and drove her SUV into Prosser Creek Reservoir. That's it. That's what I know, or I believed as fact, especially when we saw fire cam video footage from above a hill that seemed to corroborate that. But now Adventures with Purpose, namely Jarrett Lysick, seems to be getting desperate. He's due in court tomorrow. There's probably a method to his madness of dropping this video today. But this new Adventures with Purpose video it's claiming Nick, the tow truck driver, saw Kiely Rodni. It's claiming she was seen on Saturday, August 6th, which is a critical date. Kiely went to a party on August 5th. She last texted her mom sometime around there. She was expected home after midnight, which would have been Saturday, August 6th, and she never made it home. Now this emergency roadside assistance guy is claiming he got a call in Boca for a dead battery, not Prosser Creek Reservoir. He says it was a lightish gray Honda SUV. And the fact that they're saying as of yesterday, Kiely's case is still an open investigation, it has me leery. I don't know who to believe. Again, I'm not saying the Adventures with Purpose team members or former team members that appear in the video are lying, and I'm not even saying Nick, the tow truck driver, is lying. I believe, perhaps he believes he saw what he saw. But in watching this entire video, I did not see absolute proof of the date in which he said he saw this girl who he thought was Kiely. And what's more dangerous is, you'll see if you watch the video, the tow truck driver is shown a photo of a guy who I believe, he wasn't named, but I believe they're referencing Kylie's ex-boyfriend Jagger, and Nick affirmatively will say, yeah, that's the guy. Cops have specifically cleared Jagger Westfall, and I've been a defender of Jagger since the beginning because of just how much hate he's been receiving on TikTok and elsewhere, because cops said he had nothing to do with Kylie's disappearance. And now we have this new video footage, raw video footage, where Nick is claiming Kylie was wearing a blue ball cap. He said, I think something happened to her that was more than accidental. Nick, the tow truck driver, did a test on the SUV. Everything was working great. The vehicle was just in neutral. Nick said he put it in park. The vehicle was fine. He said the female, which I realized was Kylie, was acting weird. She kept asking him how to connect the seatbelt to her belt. This girl was there all night. She couldn't get her vehicle started. She was wearing a light gray sweatshirt. She looked like she had been there all night, according to Nick. The guy she was with was wearing a flat-top baseball cap facing forward, his brown hair sticking out on the sides. Nick assumed it was her boyfriend. He said both the female and the male, both couples were kind of at unease, like they had a crazy day, crazy night. He wasn't trying to judge them. He said it was around noonish or 11 o'clock in the morning. The girl told Nick that she was going to be home later in the day, so he told her keep the vehicle running for a couple of hours to make sure everything's good. Now, immediately, Nick didn't put two and two together, but he said a week later at a coffee shop, he saw a flyer that this same girl was gone. He said he was in awe. His eyes were playing tricks on him, he was wondering. He said she wasn't wearing her blue ball cap in the flyer photos, but he said then everything spiraled out of control. He got in contact with a detective, and then he saw Adventures with Purpose in town. He ran up to them. He's a fan, and he wanted to make sure to tell them what he knew, so on their search for Kylie, this was before she was found, obviously, that he could give them good direction. I think Nick's intentions are good. Just like many people in the true crime arena, a lot of us want to just help. Now, everyone's human. Everyone can make mistakes. I'm not speaking about anyone who mistakenly misleads someone in a case or, accidentally cast dispersions on the wrong suspect. I'm talking about folks who intentionally push the envelope for views. So, when Nick, the tow truck driver, was asked who placed the call to their roadside assistance service, Nick said, I can't get details because calls don't go through me. So he is digitally dispatched. That makes sense. But he did call the person, and he said nothing went through, straight to voicemail. The girl did state her phone was dead, so she had used the guy's phone. He doesn't know if the guy was her boyfriend or not. But the most funny question that stuck with him was the seatbelt question. She kept asking, how do you buckle this seatbelt? How do you buckle a seatbelt correctly? She kept going on over that. How do you secure your seatbelt firmly and securely? Now, the guy was on the opposite end of the car. Every single time the guy would come over to us, Nick said she would go on the other side and vice versa. At the front of the car, if they were near the battery, she was on one side, he was on the other. The guy didn't really speak much. But Nick thought, oh, she was just hungover. This girl had had a really rough day. She looked distressed. But looking back at it, in Nick's mind, it raises suspicions. Nick said, that's why I tried to chase you guys down. That's pretty relevant. Nick began showing AWP the Boca Rest Campground near Stampede Meadows Road, where he ran into this couple. He said, I think something was going on between her and whoever the male was due to her character and how she was acting and carrying herself. I think something happened more than accidental. The car was positioned to the road going out towards town. The Tahoe National Forest is near Stampede Meadows Road. The car was in the middle of the road in neutral. Obviously, she had to stop for some reason, Nick said. The front end was facing 94. Now, Nick left before the girl he thinks was Kylie did. He said there were people far back on the campground, but not near Kylie. The campgrounds are farther down. And there was nothing in her car to indicate she was going camping. There was no camping gear. There were just seats. There was a perfume bottle in the center console. That's all I recall. So he didn't notice any Truly cans, not that he mentioned, the things we know that were found in Kylie's car. So the investigator, according to Nick, drilled him over the phone with a bunch of questions, and that's when it got escalated to Nick's company. There were cameras facing the front and rear on Nick's vehicle and audio, so he knew, Nick said his vehicle is facing directly towards hers, so he knew his cameras were able to see the full vehicle. Nick's company allegedly has seized all of that information, and the investigator told Nick it was his biggest lead in the case. Now, the cameraman of AWP started asking questions too. He's saying, if this happened the day after the party, this gentleman would be suspect number one. What else you got? Go into detail. Nick started describing this guy had on a white bro tank, a sideways flat top hat. So this is where they pull up a photo of the boyfriend that we can't see, boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, whoever this guy is. Yes or no, his face, yeah. Nick says, oh yeah, that's the same hat too. They don't show us the photo that they showed Nick, but Nick affirmatively says it's this guy who was ever in the photo. Doug Bishop does say it's all alleged to us. He calls him just a person of interest. But cops didn't even call Jagger, if it's a photo of Jagger, and I don't know because we don't see, cops did not call Jagger a person of interest. But still, they're saying at this point, Nick doesn't know if it was the day before, the day of her disappearance, or the day after. Whether he was a boyfriend or ex-boyfriend, that's pretty big. So Nick starts saying his hair from the picture you showed me, it was sticking out a lot. He called him a thinner build guy in a white bro tank, freckles, maybe acne, black San Francisco hat. He would get interrupted, but Nick said the guy was a little shorter than me. I'm 6'3", he was white, he was Caucasian. Now, the big question, was it Friday, Saturday, or Sunday? You know, if Kylie were hanging out with Jagger that Friday, that morning before the disappearance, that's a whole nother hill of beans than Saturday morning. It doesn't make sense. Weekends, I usually cover Truckee, Nick said. Looking back under my GPS, I was there both Saturday and Sunday farther into Boca. Nick said he called his girlfriend right after. This is where a great question comes in. They ask, it sounds like Nick's girlfriend is right there off camera. They ask her to pull up the phone log, but they are interrupted at that point. There's a lot of crosstalk. So Nick said he was confused. He had never ran into a situation where a person calls for a breakdown and experiences, a woman asking stuff like that and being all confused. They asked Nick if he wears a uniform. They're trying to prick his memory of what he was wearing. But his girlfriend had dates apparently for both that Saturday and Sunday that her boyfriend Nick, the tow truck driver, called her. My big question was at that point, why didn't they ever pull up Nick's girlfriend's call log and show us, not the number, blur the number, but just show us the proof of the time and date that he called, and that would have solidified if we're talking Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. It was a great idea. If Nick, the tow truck driver, was so thrown out of sorts by this couple who he says was Kylie and some male, that he left and called his girlfriend directly afterward, and I believe in other reports, Nick reportedly remembers it was definitely Saturday because his girlfriend remembered somebody's birthday was that day. Well, why didn't they show us the call log to say, okay, well, Nick, I see you called your girlfriend both on Saturday and Sunday. Let's see, what times? Which day did you speak a little longer? Maybe if you spoke for 25 minutes on Saturday, that really was the call that you were telling her about this weird couple you ran into. But we don't see that proof, and that fosters confusion. That's my main point. Another photo was shown to Nick. The beard was kind of gone, Nick says. His hair was going back. On a scale from 1 to 10, that's a 9. We don't know who he's identifying. Nick said the guy that I saw had red marks underneath. I hope that helps you guys out a lot. That'd be awesome. So I think Nick, the tow truck driver, seems pretty genuine. And to me, that's what fosters confusion. Maybe Nick really did try and help so much in this case. But to me, there's more confusion. We're being told by law enforcement that case is closed. And of course, they can lie to us. We've been told this is officially donezo, accident. And now we have this new video opening up another can of worms, once again putting Kylie's friends and her ex-boyfriend and whomever in the hot spot. And that's not necessarily a good thing. Of course, it's a good thing to seek the truth, seek justice, but it's quite another to put a person in the hot spot whom the police have already specifically gone out of their way to clear, told us, accident, case closed. So what will this video do? Of course, it will bring controversy, it will bring people out of the woodworks, and hopefully none of them start harassing Kylie's friends all over again. Next, let's talk about YouTube creator Joseph Morris. So Joseph Morris really gained my attention again when he recently published a video about the University of Idaho case. The video was titled "Neighbor Records Blood-Curdling Scream from Idaho College Student Murder Scene." The article that Joseph featured in his video showed a screenshot of a Daily Mail article. The part that was altered said, "Meanwhile, a neighbor has come forward with new evidence of a blood-curdling scream they heard the night of the murders on November 13th, 2022. We were woken up in the middle of the night to a really loud disturbance from a neighbor. I managed to record a bit of what I heard, and knowing what I know now, this ended up being huge evidence. Notably, that quote is not attributed to anyone, you can tell. I thought it was pretty much fake news, and there was a video attached to it of a woman sounding like she was screaming, 'Stop, leave me alone,' and someone breathing heavily."
Has come forward with new evidence of a blood-curdling scream they heard the night of the murders on November 13th, 2022. They write, quote, "We were woken up in the middle of the night to a really loud disturbance from a neighbor. I managed to record a bit of what I heard, and knowing what I know now, this ended up being huge evidence." So let's listen to this scream. Thank you so much for being here. Please make sure you subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss a live. And yeah, TW, this is kind of an intense sound. So I don't know if you can hear it. I'm gonna loop it over and over again. All right, so that was the clip. It says, "Stop it, leave me alone." I think the guy who's recording it kind of is taken back. He gasped. He kind of stops himself and I think that's what I'm hearing. I also kind of hear like a dog bark, but either way, this sounds very much like, I don't know, like an interpersonal relationship sort of fight. And so this was recorded the night of the murder, and it's a girl yelling, "Stop it and leave me alone." So it sounds like it's an argument between a couple. Like if I were to hear this, I would have thought it was a couple or something like that. But this guy said that he was waken up by it and he decided to record a bit of it. So let's just play this again. Thank you so much for being here. Wow. So again, this just sounds like somebody that they knew. It also kind of makes me wonder, why did the roommates not know about what was going on? This sounds very concerning. If I were to hear this coming from my house, I know I would definitely want to check that out and what happened. So I don't know what's going on. This just adds more layers to the already mysterious case.
People were just as doubtful as I was. They reached out to the author of that article, Sean Cohen. They asked, "Was this originally part of your article? It seems suspect." Sean Cohen said, "Fake news. Yes, tampered." That was the first confirmation that we were dealing with something, not just a mistake, not just an oopsie, not something speculative. We were dealing with someone who went in and deliberately mocked up a Daily Mail article with fake text to try and lend validity to the horrible audio that came next. Plenty of kudos to Ikitmel, the YouTube creator, whose viewers and found this lie. They found the original video that it belongs to and exposed the whole lie. Joseph Morris has a very big following, but he's down to 246,000 subscribers right now. According to Social Blade, he has lost 1,000 subscribers on December 10th and 1,000 subscribers today, December 11th. Just like Adventures with Purpose, who lost tens of thousands of subscribers when the news about Jarrett Lysick's case broke. Joseph Morris's latest hoax, though, might spell the death knell of his channel. He's a guy I like to follow in the past, and it's no wonder that sometimes people like me can be gullible and fall for these charismatic, good-looking people who you think are just charming and good guys, like the kind that'll look you straight in the eye and will lie to you. With Jarrett Lysick, I thought he was very entertaining and just lovely. I thought he was genuine about helping find missing people. I thought that was his life's calling. Joseph Morris, he's pretty enthralling too. I like the way, it was a bit of shock value, but I never knew he would allegedly manufacture evidence in a real crime case. I fell for the talk of him suffering from anxiety, or so he said, for his love of animals, and now you wonder what is really true. People are saying he only got the dog just to appear more likable in his videos. But the fault cannot be with people who have fallen for the ruse of guys like that. I see in some comment sections, some people are saying, "Oh, you're an idiot for ever believing him." Well, you can't blame the person who has been scammed for having an open heart and a trusting heart. Certain people like us, we would never necessarily think to create such lies, so we don't expect that coming from others. But I had forgotten about him, and I had to go back and rewatch the Popcorned Planet video, another great creator. He exposed Joseph Morris's original lie in the Brian Laundrie case. That video fooled even mainstream media. Joseph Morris claimed that Brian Laundrie had accidentally gone live on Instagram for a few seconds. Joseph claimed there was this video of Brian Laundrie on a boat somewhere in the Gulf of Mexico, perhaps. This is after Brian Laundrie's girlfriend, Gabby Petito, had gone missing, and she was presumed in a bad way, and the hunt was on for Brian Laundrie. But Popcorn Planet exposed his trickery. It wasn't really Brian Laundrie accidentally going live on Instagram and you see the waves of water. Instead, there were snippets taken from some unrelated video and doctored to make it seem as though it were Brian Laundrie's Instagram. Now, the harm in doing things like this is that it truly wastes the time of law enforcement who are forced to track down these leads. I saw mainstream media falling for that too. I saw reports. Oh, Brian Laundrie accidentally went live on Instagram. I didn't know that Joseph Morris was the alleged creator of that lie. But now with this latest University of Idaho lie, I know for sure. I will never subscribe to him again. It's so bad if a YouTube creator is telling the public, Brian Laundrie went live on Instagram. The FBI and all these people probably jumped on it. They probably waste resources. They might have even gotten a boat out in the Gulf of Mexico trying to track down some nonsense. It's really sad when folks are creating lies like that just to get money, get viewers, and it's probably illegal, I'm sure. That's when I had forgotten about that, so I gave Joseph Morris the benefit of the doubt. I had subscribed to him again. I didn't know why I was unsubscribed, but when he leaked this recent video claiming it was audio of one of the University of Idaho victims screaming during their final moments, and even claiming this audio came directly from a neighbor, I was very suspicious, and with good reason. I watched his video over and over again. I took a screenshot of that Daily Mail article. He claimed the neighbor was releasing this audio, but none of it made sense, even though good lies always contain a little bit of the truth. So recently, the neighbor known as Einan Harsh, had spoken with the Idaho Statesman, and he said initially he didn't hear any screams or anything that night from the 1122 King Road house. But then once he thought back on it, Harsh was thinking, oh, maybe I did hear a scream. Well, this was all perfect timing, grist for the mill. It made it perfectly ripe time for Joseph to create his lie. Just adding on to that next logical step, claiming this neighbor all of a sudden must have forgotten he had this audio he created and he released it. But this lie was a bridge too far. Some people fell for it, others didn't. A lot of us started tracking down where's the source of this, because some people did take it and they ran with it and said, oh, look, what do you think of this scream? What is she saying? They were so busy dissecting it. They weren't necessarily tracking down the source of the lie, but thank God Ikit Mel and his audience was on it. I was praying to God and Jesus, please let me find the source of that audio. It took hours and hours and I was trying to find it. Like, what can you do? Can you Shazam this audio? How can you figure out where this came from? Well, Ikit Mel, in his video, he tells you the exact source. You can know what to Google, the Reddit post and everything. Thankfully, some people recognize where it came from. I didn't believe it. I didn't want to spread it. I wanted to find the source. And the way Ikit Mel breaks it down, it's really good. Joseph Morris will try and wiggle out of the times he's caught, and he's taken this video down, by the way. It had gotten nearly 100,000 views and a lot of backlash, so he took it down. He will tell his viewers, oh, I'm just a speculation channel, I told you guys. Well, of course, many of us are speculating, unless you were only facts-based channel, but this was way more than speculation. This was out and out lies, and it's the harshest kind of lies. Because imagine if you were the mother or father or sister or brother or some loved one or cousin or friend of one of those victims, and all of a sudden you see this YouTube creator, Joseph Morris, claiming he has literal audio from that night. And you're sitting there listening to this audio, horrible audio, over and over again, trying to figure out, is this my sister screaming? Do I hear my brother in the background somewhere? Do I hear Murphy the dog? Do you know how cruel of a thing that is to do to family, loved one, and investigators wasting their time? You could tell in Joseph's video that he had the address of a website from a file downloaded, so I knew he had recently downloaded a YouTube video. So I'm not sure if that's where he grabbed it and edited the video from, or if that was from something different. And he didn't scroll around on the Daily Mail article, but you could tell the context of it looked wrong, the format looked wrong, certain clues looked a little bit off. But the fact that he did not source the audio, which I couldn't find anywhere, it wasn't on the Daily Mail, it wasn't on the New York Post. People reached out to the author again, confirmed it was fake. So if you're looking at a fake, altered Daily Mail article, chances are the audio that follows was faked as well. I didn't know if it was something that was on the Daily Mail at one point or on the New York Post and removed. And some people assumed it was. I was looking through archives, I was doing view page source, looking through the text of these articles. It was faked audio grabbed from a different domestic situation. The new video created so much backlash that it's gone now. And that's one annoying thing too when you're trying to truly research something. I know one woman had written on Facebook, New York Post, here's the screenshot. The audio was there, but they must have removed it. And you can't say things like that if you didn't literally see the audio attached to the article and grab proof of that. There are too many assumptions that float around. But where do we go from here? As true crime creators, there's nothing wrong with having creative skills, but those creative skills should not be used to harm people. If you want to create plot points and plot twists and new dramatic storylines, do it on a fictional basis from some fictional show. For example, tonight is Sunday night, and many of us are waiting to see who were the victims in this show, The White Lotus on HBO. It's a brilliant show. Now, I could create a video showing a breakdown or tons of scenarios or even create fake news around the White Lotus. It would be fictional and it wouldn't harm people because there aren't real victims involved. They're fake. It's actors, it's a storyline, but some people just cross the line and it's like they don't even care about the real victims and the real family, flesh and blood. So I guess some people do prey on the fact that a lot of YouTube viewers don't have the time to go research and figure out, oh, what's true or not. And they play into the crowd that really does have a conspiracy theory leaning mind, and they love to spiral out, and they love conspiracy theories. They think everyone's a crisis actor, everything's a conspiracy. You know, they don't believe Kylie Rodney's accident was just an accident. And I allow room for that. Okay, there are people who believe it wasn't an accident. Sometimes they aren't just accidents. Sometimes there are cover-ups. I'm glad for people who dig into things, but I'm not grateful for people who create fake evidence to try and support their viewpoint or either just get views. That's not the way to go about this. In the case of cover-ups, we can pray to God that the truth comes out, but we can't add dramatize things that YouTubers do in the wrong way to get views. There are so many excellent YouTubers out there that don't use those type of shenanigans. I could name a long list. I mean, look at that chapter. I forget that guy's name, but he's great. He uses humor against the perpetrators of crimes, not the victims. He has quality editing, quality narration, quality research. His storytelling is excellent. He tells the story. This is how it happened. Has tons of subscribers and it's well deserved. There's so many who do it that way, the right way. Crime Talk with Scott Reich. It's a Crime with Linda. Christina Randall. I could go on and on. There are so many great YouTubers out there that are worth watching. You will get the information about the crime. You can even sit there and speculate with them and go back and forth and vibe, and that's perfectly fine. What those creators don't do is falsify evidence and present it as real. That won't last. I could go on and on about the creators I love, but there's nothing wrong with creating an interesting video and dramatic. I know I could be a lot more dramatic up here, but I like to understand the seriousness and the weight of what we're talking about. We're talking about true crime. We're talking about people who have lost their lives. Sometimes, of course, that involves children, crimes against children. It's heavy stuff. So I think we have to keep it in mind that these are real people. There's nothing wrong with creating interesting and dramatic stories, videos. That's what Dateline NBC does. 48 Hours, all these podcasts I love, all these shows I've loved for years. It's nothing wrong with creating a little bit of dramatics or an interesting storyline to keep viewers enthralled. It'll make them want to watch something for a whole hour. But when you start talking about YouTube creators who are pressing against the line or crossing the line, creating dramatics, introducing storylines, the title, Murder or Accident, Jarrett Lysick said they would not have titled it that if that weren't a real concern. That made a whole tide shift of people think, well, I trust AWP. They wouldn't use that title unless it were true, so maybe something really wonky did happen here. When, according to police, it didn't. It breeds confusion. Any faked evidence presented as real, like in the Joseph Morris case, it can change the trajectory of the investigation in the wrong way. This is what gives true crime YouTubers a bad name, but thank God there's so many other great creators out there that we take our work seriously, we do tons of research, we put the time in, care about trying to put the truth out there. It's not like we'll never make a mistake. I'm not saying that. Some people could be totally wrong about the way a case might turn out. I've told you how wrong I was in thinking Shane Carey might have given such a weird interview in the case of his fiancée, Heidi Broussard, and how apologetic I was for that, because I know Shane Carey is a real guy out there who had people side-eyeing him over some strange interview he gave where he was probably just grieving. But there are people out there putting in the quality time, the research, the effort, editing videos, interviewing people, educating folks, getting to the truth. Hopefully this will be a cautionary tale for anyone in the true crime genre or wanting to get into the true crime genre, not to follow the path of intentionally creating fake news just for the sake of views. Revelation 2:5 is really appropriate here. Therefore, keep in mind how far you have fallen. Repent and perform the deeds you did at first. But if you do not repent, I will come to you and remove your lampstand from its place. Guys like Jared Lysick and Joseph Morris obviously have what it takes to draw an audience. Amazing storytelling skills, a captive audience, a great presence, the ability to narrate a story, have storytelling skills. They just have to be skills used for good and not evil, to be an asset to the collective. So that verse reminds me that it's not too late. God forgives anyone. We will see what happens with Jared coming up in these court cases, and hopefully YouTubers won't interfere with justice. Whatever is the truth, whatever Jared is sorrowful for, hopefully he will repent and tell the truth. And repent means to turn around and do something different. And I'm hoping the same for Joseph Morris. Just admit what you did, repent, and just turn around and do something different. Because God says in this verse, when we don't repent, it's like our lampstand gets removed. A person can be high and mighty on a hill, a bright shining light, but if they don't repent and they're doing the wrong thing, that light can be taken away. But if you do not repent, I will come to you and remove your lampstand from its place. Remember the deeds you did at first. So maybe initially it started out as more truthful, and maybe these creators saw that the more they jazzed things up or added a little zhuzh and a little this and a lie here and a mistruth there, things became more popular. But all money isn't good money. There's filthy lucre. I'm not going to get on here and just say anything, sell anything, pitch anything if it doesn't sit right with my soul. Yeah, I could make tons more money, but it's not worth it, in my opinion, if I can't sleep at night or if I can't look Jesus in the face and look at God and know that we are clear, that we are okay, that there's nothing lingering that I continue to do, misleading people or creating fake news for money. I wouldn't even be able to enjoy the money. So my point is, repent and do what you did at first. And take whatever punishment, I don't know what's appropriate. God knows in all these instances where the truth lies. He knows the entire truth. He knows what justice different people deserve. That's what will be meted out eventually. Some people seem to get away with a lot, but we won't get away with things forever. That's what should be done. Repent and do the things you did at first. Or else God says, I will remove your lampstand, and we've seen it happen. We've seen some shooting stars up there. That bright lampstand lights up a whole city, and all of a sudden, fall, and great was the fall. It's not too late. While the blood runs red in our veins, we can always change. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.